I just want to tell y'all about an interesting platform that a lot of y'all know about. But did you know that over 100,000 AI and machine learning developers are on Lambda Labs? You guys know that? You can join them. Exclamation Lambda. And you have access to a free $20 to get you started, to take a look around their platform. Shout out to Lambda Labs for sponsoring our Big Data Bowl team, Nick Wayne's Indianapolis Colts. And this week, week 2 of the best haul ever. If you were not here last week, we did introduce the team. Of course, it is me, the GM and owner of the team, Nick Wayne. And back on the team this year is Sam Kirshner, who has led our team, and of course, chat's favorite Ghetto Bob, who is also on the team. And this year, since we are going to be applying to the coaching track, we are looking for a coach. So a big theme of this year is seeking out a coach who could fill the coaching role on the team. And so week 2 here, typically the agenda is going to be just like all the stand-ups, of course. What did we work on last week? What are we doing this week? Do we have any blockers? And of course, announcements and action items to summarize what we do next week. But this week, we do have a special guest to interview. And so we're going to do this interview in front of everyone. We wanted to just open up our process. Being a transparent team is one of our goals this year. So we're going to be interviewing Coach John Montana.
Hello there, Mr. Lambda. Honored to be interviewing with the prestigious Indianapolis Colts, and I hope I impress you.
Thank you. I'm that's fine. Thank you for joining us, Coach. Is it Coach John or just John, or how would you?
Anything as long as we get the W's.
Thank you. That's awesome. So I guess just to start off, your coaching experience, your coaching philosophy, you have the floor to tell us a little about how you operate things in the locker room.
Okay, yeah. So my philosophy is if you coach right off the field, you don't need to coach at all on the field. So I do not coach on the field. I watch the game from the stands like a fan. I think that gets me an accurate experience. I've coached 15 years for the New York Surprise, minor league football. You might not have heard of it. And we have mutually decided that I would not return this year. So I am looking for other opportunities before my house is repossessed.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a very unique way to, I guess, from the stands. Like, do you feel that there's a vantage point in the stands that other coaches might not have?
There's an expression that I learned from somebody I pickpocketed in college. They had a fortune cookie I pickpocketed, and it said, the eagle sees greater heights than the turtle ever will. And so I try to apply that to my daily life.
How well do you work under pressure?
Well, I have 6 pacemakers installed, so every second I'm under constant pressure of death. Does that answer your question? And I've taken the New York Surprise to 1 minor league Super Bowl win in 15 years there. So I would say that's pretty good record under pressure. That's pretty good. Sam, you got anything? Any thoughts on that one?
No, I'm loving what I'm hearing, Mr. Montana. Quick aside, any relation to Hannah Montana? She's a good friend of mine.
4th cousin.
Cool. Well, if you see her at the next family reunion, let her know that Cincy Sam said hi.
If you want 10% off tickets, I still got that hookup. So
good to know. That's better than the 5% she gives me. Yeah. Now this is a controversy in my household. I think this speaks a lot to how you think about things, how you think about problems. Where do you store the peanut butter in your household?
In my stomach. No, seriously.
The team at times needs some motivation. We can get distracted easily. And so I need you to give me an example of a speech, a motivating speech that you would give to your team when down at halftime. How are you going to turn the boys around?
Okay, now I'm not physically near them, so you need to imagine this speech being yelled through a megaphone or a bullhorn. Team, I know we're down. I know we're losing by 30 points. I know each and every one of you has put in a performance that will embarrass you and that you will remember 20 years from now, wake up in the middle of the night and just be flooded with a drop sweat from pure embarrassment. But there is still time. Technically speaking, you are 99%. I have checked the market. You are 99% to lose this game. There's a surprisingly robust prediction market for the New York Surprise minor league football games, and you are 99% to lose this. But, oh, they're starting back up. Okay, that's the end of my speech. Good luck. So that would be an example. That was from the 2 years ago when we made it to the quarter semifinals.
I like it. Motivating. Oh, I was just gonna say that was motivating, but grounded in realism. I appreciated the win probability and keeping it real with the team, but still trying to get them to the end of the game.
How did they respond?
We lost by about 15 more points. So it was higher than our average performance, so I would call it a success.
I got a few plays that I'd like us to just walk through, just to check the, just to level set some of the knowledge here. So, so we have a classic cross route here. Can you just walk us through sort of the play design here and anything you would maybe see from the defense if you were going to make any motions?
Okay, yeah. So I'd have the guys in the back. They would like kind of go left, then they would go right, then they'd go forward, then they'd go left again. Then the ones in the middle would start rotating in a circle in order to kind of form a barrier. And then the one in the far left would kind of like charge at the one with the arrow, and then and then the one in the far right would kind of come in through the left here, would form an X-shaped formation, and then would try and kind of take the little pen knife they have them put in their cleats and just kind of cut the tendon of the quarterback while all these other weird movements are distracting the opposing team.
Yeah. How just out of curiosity, how often were you installing plays with the players and the other coaches?
I would give them a cassette with the play recorded so that they could, put it in their cassette player and listen to it and work out the plans. Other than that, I would kind of leave a lot of the, minute, boring details to my assistant coach.
Yeah, that's... okay, yes. But this one right here, can you just describe to me what's going on this play?
Well, there seems to be some kind of like a message scrawled across the screen, so I'm going to assume that this is kind of the defensive coach is sending me a signal that the Illuminati have started to interfere and that I should leave the stadium immediately. And so in that situation, I would run screaming out of the stands. I would kick anyone out of the way. I would kick a few people just to create a little chaos, even if they weren't in my way. And then I would, grab some hot dogs from the vendor and run immediately out the nearest gate. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lambda.
Thank you, John. Much appreciated for the interview. Thanks. We'll be in contact soon.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Ruin the damn ball.
Ruin the damn ball. Let's go. Okay, we're just gonna continue with the rest. We're gonna continue with the rest of the meeting. So what did we work on last week? What did we work on last week? EDA. So do I click on this? Should I go through this?
Yeah. It's not a phishing scam. not a little phishing scam. All right, so let me do a little setup for the crew. By the way, I had an idea. This is your chat. I don't want to call them chat. And a lot of content creators, they give a name to their audience. I listen to the Men in Blazers. They call their fans GFOPs, good friends of the pod. Thinking we can call your chat thoughts, true homies of the Twitch. So Nick's thoughts, two true homies of the Twitch. Just give it a thought. We'll workshop it. See if chat wants to be a bunch of Nick thoughts.
I think they were in on OnlyWans for a while.
OnlyWans? All right. Whatever floats their boat.
But
all right.
Thoughts. That's I'll give a thoughts to that one. Oh shit. Okay, hold on.
Oh, WAN Sixers. I like that.
WAN Sixers. Okay. Are we gonna walk through some EDA?
Yeah, let's peruse through this, and I'll kind of give. So, I realized, the people that come in here for good content, they also want a little data science too. This thought occurred to me at 11 p.m. last night. So going forward, it's gonna be a little bit more polished. We're gonna take the very raw version because that was what I was able to accomplish last evening. But each week, I'm gonna put together a little notebook, publish it, let people kind of get a little taste for kind of how to think through this data, how to look at it, just some of the basics. Not give away too much, but if you're starting out, might be a little bit useful. So this is just gonna go through and look at what data was provided this year. And do a little play animation, just very basic stuff. Next week, be much more polished. We'll look at some stuff about actual motion. This is just taking a look at the data set. So we're loading in 5 files. We've got the 4 supplementary files to the tracking data, and then we're going to load in 1 of the 9 weeks of the tracking data. And some of these files we've seen year after year with the Big Data Bowl, some of them a little new. One thing I want to call out, just as a, constant annoyance, every year they flip-flop between calling it a team or calling it a club in the tracking data. So just know that it's going to be club this year instead of team, which broke some of my local kind of PDB functions in my little package that I've created. But going through the game's data set, this data set is staying the same this year for the most part. We've got 9 weeks of data and 136 games. So that's a really strong data set to work with. We've got half a season. But pretty basic data. You're just looking at the game, what season it's from, 2022 this year, the week, so it's going to be weeks 1 through 9, the date, time, abbreviations of the team, and the final score. I don't think I've ever used the game time, or really the game date, but if you need to link it up to NFL Fast Start data, maybe you would use it. I don't know. The play data set, big improvement this year. So this data set has a lot of new features that you can play with that you would have had to get from other sources or create on your own. I want to go through some of the columns that are new this year that I think are really interesting and useful. But the play data set has a mean of about 118 plays. That means we're getting everything. Once again, not necessarily typical with the Big Data Bowl. We've got receiver alignments. We've got the XY of the target. We've got drop back distance, which is something you would have had to calculate on your own. Similarly with time to throw, time in the tackle box, pass location type, whether the pass was tipped at the line, time to sack, some run concept information, whether it was a run pass option, and run location type. This is all just new data with the plays data that I think makes life a little bit easier, gives a little bit more context to the data. I think it'll be something worth exploring as we go in this. As an aside, if you don't like the topic for the Big Data Bowl this year, I think this is a probably the best data set we've had to date with the Big Data Bowl to do whatever else you want with it. So check it out. Maybe you don't want to do the pre-snap motion, but this is pretty fun to just play around with. So next we can kind of look at some of that data. A nice little data table here. This is a pretty wide data set, but if you wanted to peruse what kind of those records look like, we got 20 records from the plays data set. So you can see, what some of the values are. Pretty lousy formatting here, but is what it is for right now. Going down to the player play data set. So this is a brand new data set that has never been added to the Big Data Bowl prior to this edition. This gives you information for every game and every play of what various NFL IDs or players were doing on that play. Once again, it's something you could probably have created on your own, but is provided for you this year. It just makes life that much easier. So you have a feature, was targeted receiver, or had pass reception, or were the yards gained after catch. All of that stuff, really useful. If we're thinking about the prompt for this year, there's some features down here. In motion at ball snap, shift since line set, motion since line set. So that's going to help you narrow down the data to what plays had motion, or if a player shifted since the line set, etc. But you also have these really good features like time to pressure allowed as blocker, get off time as pass rusher, time to pressure as pass rusher. A lot of this is going to be NAs or false, but once you filter the data for columns that have this information, you're going to be good to go. You're going to be ready to work with this data set. And then once again, little table of data. Take a look at what the data set looks like. The player data set, that's pretty boring. We've had the same player data set every year. One thing I like to do, and I've got a custom function for it called add player identifiers, is add a bunch of information that I've used in the past 2 years. So we've got things like identifiers for his offense, his linebacker, the various position groups. We've got various measures of weight. We've got identifiers to other different data sets, their headshots, draft date, draft number. They can come in handy as you work through the presentation. And then finally with the tracking.
What's mass in slugs?
Oh man, I gotta remember now. I was doing something last year. A slug is a unit of mass in the imperial system where one slug is defined as the mass that accelerates at 1 foot per second squared when a force of 1 pound is applied to it.
Not actual slugs.
Not actual slugs. No, but that may be a feature for this year. We'll see. I was doing something last year and I did not use it for tackling, and that's where the mass and slugs came from. Probably don't need it anymore, but using some of the functions from last year.
Okay.
The final thing I'll touch on here that folks should, I think, take a look at when you're looking at the data initially is the events in the tracking data. So what are the events? What are their counts? What are their order? It'll give you a good idea of like how to break the plays up to focus on the area of the play you care about. A lot of your tracking data is not going to have any event associated with it. But then you're going to have these common events like ball snap, line set, etc. If you go to the fourth page on that, you'll see some events are super rare in the data set. A touchback, a lateral, a snap direct. Maybe those are things you want to filter out or don't care about, focus on the edge cases. We scroll down further. We just got a little sample of what the tracking data looks like. We've got a little sample of an animation. Just to show quickly animating a play. This play, you can see a guy coming out of the backfield in motion. It's a run play, so that might give you some thoughts. Oh, how does players in motion aid a run scheme as a blocker? Something like that as a topic. It's always good to animate your data, kind of see exactly what you're working with on a single play. And then finally, I take the events and I look at the frame number and say, what is the average frame this event occurs on? What's the min frame? What's the median frame? What's the max frame? So if we sort on median frame, you see that most of these plays are going to start with a huddle break offense or huddle start offense. You've got things like QB snack, which may not be that, QB spike, which may not be that relevant. You go into line set, then probably man in motion, and then a snap or a shift. You start getting a feel for like where these events fit within these plays. And to take that a step further, at the very bottom, I take the events, take out any frames without an event, and say, what is this event order within the play? So the first event you would see within a particular play would be event number 1, then event number 2, and so on. And this will give you a better idea of like where certain events stack up in order within a play. So you can kind of start seeing how the play sequentially is going to go, or where events live within a certain play. So you can start saying, all right, what do I want to focus in on? Do I care about after the pass outcome is caught? What events are in the data set, etc. So just very light exploration thus far of what do we got going on in this data. I will say there's a lot more here than we've had in the past. We've had truncated plays where some of the data is missing. Here, we've got a lot of frames leading up to snap, where in the past you would get like half a second. So I think you could cut this data down to literally up to the point of snap and still have a lot of rich information to work with. It's not going to be half a second. It's going to be really from the time the huddle breaks. So that's what we got going on week 1. Week 2 is going to focus entirely on looking at what motion looks like in these plays.
Guess what are we working on this week?
So this week,
Go for it.
I was just going to say this week, I'm going to spend time, like I said, really starting to think about motion and looking at plays with motion, who's motioning, where are they motioning to, distance, etc. Trying to get an idea, because I think to understand the effectiveness of motion, you need plays without motion and plays with motion. And starting to get a feel for like what that split is. Also what that split is between run plays and pass plays. Do a lot more actually digging into the motion in this data set versus just looking at what the data is.
Okay. I think on my side, I think just lining up more interviews is probably pretty important for us. I think that's mostly it on me. Any word on Ghetto Bob? Any thoughts on what he's doing?
Ghetto Bob is currently working on optimizing the best possible brew of coffee that will optimize his brain functionality such that he will really make best use of his time. So, in his mind, if he can spend a week setting up that optimized brew, it'll save twice as much time later down the line when he can do 8 hours of work in 4 hours.
Oh yeah, one more announcement. Exclamation Coach, for those who are interested in applying to the coach role. We have several people who have applied through our coach form. Please take a look. Exclamation Coach in chat. Fill up the form. So it sounds like action items. We got a presentation from you. We'll see if I have anything in terms of another coach. And then I think we do need like a bigger update from Ghetto Bob. Just see where he's at. Of course, everyone, this wouldn't happen if it wasn't thanks to Lambda Labs. Go check out Lambda today. Exclamation Lambda in chat. Click on the link and you got access to $20 free credit when you sign up. So if you want to take a look at where all the cool machine learning engineers and data scientists are doing their work, it's over at Lambda. Thanks for the updates this week, Sam. Much appreciated.
All right. See y'all. See your thoughts.
Good night, dude. See ya.